how could I not see it? How could I be so careless? How could I not think about it? Why am I so stupid? Why am I so careless? What if I can't? What if this doesn't happen? And so on and on and on it goes, right? The many unhealthy voices, or what is usually referred to as the inner critic. Watch this video to understand what exactly is happening in the inner psyche when this inner critic is playing out and what to do to resolve it. This is an important concept to understand because unless you see what's truly happening inside, you can't really resolve it. And I know from experience, personal and others, that many people struggle with these unhealthy, unhelpful voices going inside, right? So I invite you to, if you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel so that more people get access to this content. Also, comment in the link below, let me know what other content you would want me to create. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shobhali. I'm an inner work guide with over 12 plus years at the nexus of coaching, therapeutic practices, and spirituality. All right, so let's dive right in. What is this inner critic? Many people think of it as this voice that's just constantly there to put you down, to find faults, to find loopholes in your great ideas and plans, to consistently let you know how you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not intelligent enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not whatever enough, right? Or it's there to tell you how something will not work out or something will happen that you haven't planned, or the worst come worst scenario. It's just constantly there in the background telling you red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, even when there aren't really red flags. And yes, this is the inner critic. It is usually born or it gets created from our childhood experiences where our parents, caregivers, other adults, important figures in our life have the way that they think about us, the way that they see us, the way that they talk to us, their thoughts and beliefs get ingrained in us, and then we start thinking about ourselves in that same way. And once we internalize their thoughts and beliefs about ourselves, then those voices now are no more their voices. Now those voices become our own voices. Yeah? And some of these voices then become these inner critics. However, it's not just this one voice. There are several different voices going on inside our head. One of them is the inner critic. Another voice might be there telling you how there's no point to any of it, because in any case you're not going to succeed, whether at work or in love or in building your confidence or having emotional balance. Yet another voice that might be telling you how everything and everyone in this world, in your life, is just so unfair. Everything is just happening to you. Yet another voice telling you you've got to get it together. You have to sort of build your courage and stand up for yourself. Only you are there for yourself. You have to do it. Be strong, right? So all of these several voices going on in our head, and we don't have conscious awareness of them. When all these multiple voices are playing out, but consciously we're not aware, that's when we get into the space of feeling very confused, feeling lost, not understanding what's happening, not understanding what we truly want, what we want to do. Let's take an example. So let's say this voice that says, you have got to get it together, right? You are strong, you need to be strong, you need to stay strong. Now this voice, or this fragmented part, was probably born at a time when there was nobody else to support you, there was nobody else to care for you, and you had to stand up to literally survive, to take care of yourself, right? And that's when this one part might have emerged that would have had to let go of any and all vulnerabilities and weaknesses and just be this strong, I am strong part. However, this is just one of the parts. Now, along with this I am strong part is also this other part, that's the inner critic, that says, you are actually not good enough. You've actually not got anything together. And so, in a moment of difficulty, This part rises that says, I've got to figure this out, I've got to figure this out, I'm going to make this work, I can do it, I am strong. And then the inner critic comes up and is like, you've got nothing together. You're such a loser. And then there might be a third part that might be like, oh damn, I am really shit scared right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how we're going to get it together. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And then this inner critique might also bullshit this part that's fearful, and it'll look at this part and be like, oh my God, you're such a coward. Yeah. So within the psyche, in our inner world, all of these conversations, all of these almost like battlefield of words and thoughts and beliefs and values and needs is happening that we are completely unaware of. Hint, all of these different fragmented parts are primarily wanting the same thing, which is safety, protection of you, of the entire being. But they've all, due to various circumstances in which they were born, they've all learned different ways of finding that protection. So the inner critic has learned that by critiquing and by telling you that you can't, it's protecting you from the pain of potential failure, rejection. The I am strong part has learned that only if we stop caring about emotions, if we stop feeling our feelings, only then can we survive. That's what it's doing. The fearful part has learned that, oh, if I'm really afraid and I go and hide somewhere, then well, I'll be safe, right? So each of these parts is literally acting out to protect you in its own way. So when we talk about the inner critique, yes, you need to work with the inner critique, but it is not just the inner critique. Just by working with the inner critique, you don't resolve, because it's a dynamic, these are dynamics happening, taking place between various parts within us. So while yes, the inner critique by itself is kind of problematic, but it is not the inner critique and what it is doing that is actually the problem. The problem is that you are not consciously aware, and all of this is happening in the unawareness of your subconscious and conscious mind, and the conscious mind is only staying in a state of confusion and fogginess. That is what then leads this conscious mind to spiral into anxiety, into fear, into not knowing what to do. Before we move to, so what do you do about this? What do you do about this whole unawareness that you have within your own psyche? I invite you to pause the video for a moment and comment in the links below. Share, does this resonate with you? Do you experience this confusion because there are different parts saying, wanting, feeling different things? Which parts are you aware of? Or which parts did you maybe potentially become aware of as you were listening to this video? Alright, so what do we do about it? I'm going to share something very simple and powerful, and like most powerfully simple things, it will be simple, not necessarily easy. The easiness or the hardness is always about practice. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Okay? So the simple, powerful thing to do is observation. The observer changes the observed. Have you heard that phrase? Researchers over a period of time realized that when observing their subject, just the act of observation, just the fact that they were observing the subject, changed the behavior of the subject without having to necessarily put in any other intervention. Yeah? And so similarly for us and our inner worlds and this whole dynamic, this whole drama that plays out in the inner world, yes, you can do a lot of different tidbits here and there, but the most powerful thing that you can ever do to change these dynamics, to resolve these fragmented parts within, one saying everything is unfair, the other saying, oh, I'll fix everything, yet another saying, this is a scary space, I want to get out, yet another saying, oh my God, I'm so disappointed, nothing is working out. The best way to resolve them all is to take the observer's stance. In order for you to be able to take the observer's stance, you have to start working with the core assumption that the thoughts, the emotions, the beliefs, the values, the needs, the wants, none of them is you. Your mind is yours, but it is not you. Your inner world is yours, and thus you're responsible for it, but your inner world is not you. And so only once you start working with this core assumption that all of these different fragmented parts are mine, but they are not me, only then can you take the observer stance and just watch the drama. Now, once you start observing, you take the observer stance, you have to be a good observer. What's a good observer? Who's a good observer? A good observer is one who has this sense of curiosity and the intent to learn and understand, not to know and fix. Yeah, this is a struggle that I would say is very, very common and has become very natural and instinctive for us. Because, anyway, that's a different story. I'm not going to get into why it is so, but it is a very, very natural tendency, or a tendency that has become very natural to us, that immediately we want to know and then we want to fix. Yeah, so to play a good observer, you'll have to let go of the tendency and to actually bring in curiosity, actually want to understand what's happening. Not to fix, but just to understand. Once you take that stance, once you're able to see, the inner critic, the angry part, the I am brave part, the fearful part. Okay, what are they saying to each other? Once you start taking that stance and actually start seeing what's happening, then you can start getting to explore, each fragmented part's origin. When were they born? Only when you go to when they were born would you be able to see what was the need. What is the need? What has not been fulfilled? Once you get to understand what has not been fulfilled, what is the need, then you can wisely decide what is a better, more helpful, more healthy way to have this need met. For instance, the inner critic's need might be that it wants you, and the inner critic might think itself. So depending on how merged you are with the inner critic, you might think this is what I want. But once you become the good observer and you're able to see, this is my inner critic, you might start seeing, the inner critic wants us, to look a certain way. It wants us to look smart. It wants us to look intelligent. It wants us to look pretty. It wants us to look a certain way. Once you understand that what it wants, then you can start exploring more and seeing, but why? Like, what is this? Where is this want coming from? And then you might realize, the child that the inner critic is protecting was a child who was made to feel that they were not good enough because they were not smart enough, because they were not pretty enough, because they were not intelligent enough, because they were whatever not enough. And when the child felt not enough, the child felt rejected, the child felt like the child didn't belong, the child felt unimportant, unloved, and it is not great to feel any of those things, right? So then you realize, that's what the child felt. And that's who the inner critic is trying to protect. Now, after seeing this entire backstory, you can now make a wiser call as to how you might want to fulfill these needs instead of the inner critic having to belittle you at all times. There are various other things that can be done, but all of those other things come from this basic understanding, right? Only once you understand the backstory, only once you understand the true need, can you then think of strategies to have those needs met. All right, now if you're someone who's already been doing some inner work and is now ready to go deeper to find authentic alignment in your inner and outer worlds, I'd love to see if I can support you. Book your inner work strategy call with me. The link is down below, and let's explore together how we can bring in greater expansiveness, healing, and growth for you. You might also want to check out this video next, Your Guide to Happiness. The links in the description below. Come back next week for a new video on how to build inner clarity, resolve emotional turmoil, and heal core wounds to continually learn, grow, and evolve. Until then, much love to you all. Mwah!